Hello, my few yet faithful listeners. I want to share something of my journey with the world, with everybody. And so I must add that I went through a lot of pain and depression, anxiety, and dare I say, suicidal thoughts for so many years. And I've tried working on it in so many ways. I've tried pushing myself. I've tried everything in the books. I've tried everything, but nothing worked because at some level deep down inside me, I just felt pain, and that pain would never end. It was like an ocean of endless pain, and and it's so hard to talk about. It's so hard to talk about this, but then I would like to describe the feelings that come with this experience of pain, the feeling of not being good enough for anything, the feeling of being not worthy of life, the feeling of extreme shame, and the feeling of hopelessness that accompanies everything. And this whole feeling of not being worthy of life is actually the feeling that dominates you all the time. And at least it dominated me, and accompanied strongly by the feeling of shame, and in turn, the feeling of hopelessness. And I don't want to beat around the bush. I don't want to make excuses. I don't want to do anything, because I think that a lot of my life, most of my life, I lived to please people. I lived to please somebody, maybe even God. I lived to please God, but then not in the way that I should. And in the end, I realized that I'm human. I'm human, and that's what I am. And however terrible my flaws are, however terrible my mistakes are, however terrible, my everything, my wounds, and everything is. And through all this, I felt this extreme feeling of helplessness, that I can't even change the hearts and minds of people closest to me. And I felt alienated. I felt misunderstood. I felt I felt like I isolated myself. I isolated myself from many people who actually loved me and who wanted the best for me. And I couldn't bring myself to tell them that, you know, that I like to be who I am with them, because I just put up this mask. And because I don't want people, I never wanted people to see me for who I am, because I didn't love who I am. And I always worked and worked and worked and worked to present an image, an ideal image of who I am. And I never, but all I've, but there is a lot of pain in me, and there are a lot of tears. And I wish, how I wish that I could embrace my friends and those who care about me, those who love me, and then cry and cry and cry a lot of my tears, a lot of my tears. And there's no shame in being vulnerable. There's no shame in being weak. There's no shame in being broken and being a total mess. And this mess, that I can today tell you boldly that I'm a mess of a human being. And I will never stop being a mess. I can never put myself together. I can, every time I put myself together, I fall apart. And it's cyclical. I become worse off than what I was when I began. And this endless cycle of putting on a show, and the endless cycle of presenting the ideal me, and then the whole hours, days, weeks, months of just being in a corner and just not wanting to come out to see the sun, not wanting to come out and see the birds sing, and not being able to love life, love life, and this whole joylessness, this hopelessness, and this terrible situation, compounded. It just aggravated over a long period of time. And I just want to ask forgiveness of those people who actually care about me, who try to reach out to me, but I would never reach out to them. I really, I really am sorry. And I really wish that I could really embrace you for who you are, and then show you who I am, and all my flaws, with all my flaws, and with all my beauty. Because I see that along with my flaws, I see that there's something very beautiful in me. There's something very beautiful in me. And I've never really given myself credit for that. In fact, I would say it's a gift. It's a gift. If you believe in God, then I think that my beauty is a gift from God, and everything that makes me beautiful is not is something so wonderful that I just can't imagine that. And I never looked at myself as beautiful. I never looked at myself in the mirror and said, there you are, a work of art. And then I open my eyes and look at other people. I look at the world. I look at everybody, you know, like caught up in their own lives, and see beautiful people, and see precious people, and also hurt people. And and I, and I think that there is so much beauty to see in this world. I wish that every day I wake up and I see more and more beauty in everybody. I find ways to listen to people, and to see what is truly beautiful in them. Truly listen to people, and truly know that every bit of anger, and every bit of aggression that a lot of people have, and every way they kind of put up a wall, is because of their pain. And people have the right to protect themselves. But then, you know it's like, but then I still want to listen to people and see how beautiful everybody is. And and I think that is life. And I think that is something, it's my core value. And I've never been living that out. I've never been living my core value out. I've always been living my shame. I've always been living my frustration, my resentment, and I've always been living everything that is negative in me. And I don't want to do that again. I don't want to go back to being that again. And of late, I've been reading this book. It's called, it's around here somewhere, but anyway, so this book is about trauma. And I realized that, trauma really rearranges you. I'm not saying that I'm the most traumatized person in the world, but then there are signs of trauma that I found in myself. And and then I've lost my sense of self because of that trauma that I've been going through. And and the other major event that happened in my life was during March. During I was taking two courses in my university, and I really enjoyed those courses. In fact, one of the courses was one of my favorite, like parts of design and communication, and this was on cybernetics. And I read Robert Wiener's, like his whole book on cybernetics, and I presented entropy. And then I was so excited about the concepts, entropy and noise, and what cliches are, and what it means to read a book without being cliched. And I was exploring this whole creative side of life. And then the other course that I was taking was William Blake's. It's called Blake and the Non-Human, which I enjoyed so much, and I discovered so much of beauty in William Blake's poetry. And I kind of, like, but I couldn't read. Only a few words really entered my heart, but the rest were like I was just going through the motions. Oh, I had to present something, I had to do something, I had to work, and that coupled with my already existing depression and pain kind of broke me. And I went to a place where I didn't I didn't want to live anymore. I was on bed all day long. I was I didn't want to get out of bed. And my sister found me laying down, just giving up. And then she said, you need to go for counseling. I didn't have the agency to go for counseling. I kind of given up on life. I was like, I'm just gone. For all intents and purposes, I don't want to live anymore. And then my sister booked an appointment with a therapist in the university. And then and then I just took an Uber there. I just couldn't put myself together enough to take a bus that I usually do. And then I went there, and then I met a very wonderful therapist. And then she asked me a few questions. And then she said, you need to go and meet a psychiatrist. And this is a taboo in India, because this is the lowest that you can get in a certain sense. So I booked an appointment with a psychiatrist, and then he gave me Cipralax and cortisol inhibitors. And then I was like, I called up my department, and I was like, I just can't do this. I can't do this term. I just want to drop this term. And then, like Tina, who works in the department, she was like, no, you know what? Just drop out of a course and do the other course. And then I was caught between two courses. I was caught between a Blake, my Blake course, and my cybernetics course. I really enjoyed cybernetics, but then I was like, I want to do Blake. So I dropped out of cybernetics, and then I was in the Blake class. And I just couldn't do it. But I just went through the motions. And then I was also TAing. I was a teaching assistant. And then I was grading business writing. And that's a lot of work, because you have to read every essay, and then you have to like comment, and every comment is specific. You can't have generic comments, because you got to work with students. And so that was taking a lot from me as well. But I just somehow survived. And come April, I just collapsed, just. And then I was going for therapy once a week. But then, because of COVID, it just I couldn't do that either. And then I was just like falling apart every day falling apart. And I kind of don't understand why. I didn't understand why I didn't die then. And like, my family was my family was very distant from me. They didn't understand what I was going through. They didn't try to understand what I was going through. I just felt so alone. But then my sister was here with me all the time, and she really loved me so much. She took care of me. And we did things together. I tried cooking, and then I worked on my room. And which is like so cool, because I got my books sorted out there. I got some posters. I got my favorite Lord of the Rings poster. I have a world map here, and I got a tapestry there. You can see, where's my tapestry? It's there. Yeah. So I got a tapestry there, and then I started doing pretty things with my room. And oh, sorry. Yeah, I started doing pretty things with my room, and oh, this is not great. Sorry. Yeah, I started doing pretty things with my room, and then um, started cooking desserts, and then I lost a ton of weight all of a sudden, which was surprising to say the least. And I took every day one step at a time, made mistakes, made more mistakes, made more mistakes, and and then just worked my way through everything. There were days when I was just like empty. I was so empty. I was so empty, and I was like, I want to go back home. Where's my home? Do I have a home? I want to go back home. And and before this, I've never actually spoken about myself for so long, because every time I thought that I should say something about myself, I thought it was too vain, I was too proud, I was too arrogant, and I was too selfish to talk about myself. I always talk about, issues. I talk about what is going on outside in the world, and even now it's like, oh, there are so many people who are suffering because of COVID, and I want to be there for them. But then how can I be there for people when I myself am so broken that I can't even get out of my bed? And then all these old, like, another confession here is that when I was in India back in 2015, I was smoking weed every day for a year, every day. And I was so broken, and all those feelings just came rushing back. And all the feelings of failure, all my feelings of trauma with my family, and everything just came rushing back. And then it's so much to embrace, but then I'm starting to embrace my pain. I'm starting to embrace myself. I'm starting to embrace, and then I realize that as I embrace myself, I'm not just embracing myself. I'm embracing the pain in other people too. Like, everybody has pain, and I just want to see through people's pain and listen to people, carefully listen to people, hold their words in my heart, and then and then and then be graceful to people as I'm being graceful to myself. And yeah, so this is like my journey in a nutshell. I know it's a very long video, but then, I'm going to send it out to all my friends so they know what was going on with me for so long, and know that right now I'm in a much better place. And I hope that someday I will get I will start loving life fully, and I will be my beautiful self again. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I really do love every one of you. Take care and stay safe.